everyone, it's Christine, your lovable, huggable muse, and I'm going to be bringing you my uploads from my downloads. And today we're going to be talking about limited beliefs and going higher. So, in science, you guys, there's over about 11 to 12 dimensions that science can actually perceive as possible in a mathematical sense. I mean, basically, every time you make a decision, that decision can branch off into billions of probable outcomes. I mean, you're basically able to create your own timeline basically just on the decisions you make in life. And I'm going to go ahead and just show you one of my favorite TV shows, which is Elegant Universe. Someone introduced that to me a very long time ago, and it had a lot to do with quantum physics and just how the world works on a scientific level. So if you guys enjoy that, please let me know. And right now, the reason I'm even doing this particular series is because I am paying attention to a lot of what's going out there right now, you guys, with the news. There is just all sorts of things going on right now. And I'm sort of doing an experiment with myself as well. I mean, I wanted to delve into some of these ideologies and really, just figure out what they were all about. And there were times when I really liked what I heard, and of course, I always kind of pick out the best of it and just make sure that I implement that in my life. But there would also come some times when, something wouldn't quite match with me quite well. I mean, there were either some ideologies that were either limiting the capacity of our creator and source, or us as co-creators, and or they would just exclude certain people and things just generally. And in my mind, if you really want to know a little bit more of like what I necessarily think about being in alignment and being true to source, because I think sometimes it's harder for some people to grasp if they just don't have a little bit more of a normal, everyday life kind of thing to kind of connect it to. So for some people who understand what being in the zone is, either you're an artist or an athlete or a martial artist, you can, those guys can actually sometimes tap into this kind of higher way of thinking. In that place is kind of where you can create, and where pretty much your beliefs are able to embody creation. I mean, literally, you can think something's gonna happen, like I'm gonna make this shot and you're gonna do it, or this is gonna happen and that's gonna happen. So I mean, even being deep in prayer, when you finally just find your own quiet spot in here, you're basically able to elevate into that higher awareness where pretty much creation and light exists. So this is just one of the things, you guys, I really just thought about, and I thought, wow, this is a really cool analogy for you guys, because I was like, yeah, that's what it feels like. I mean, so a lot of us light workers and people that just, connect to the source, of course, we're hearing the message, okay? Of course we are, because we're putting ourselves in this state of alignment. We are connecting. But I'm taking this as some bit of a notice that some of the downloads from source tends to be filtered by the human element. I mean, when I say that, I mean, you also have to consider what that person's own personal beliefs and ideologies are when you're thinking about the message they're trying to give you, because I do see some kind of filters in there that don't necessarily sound like they're coming from source. I mean, all of it does, and then it comes to this point where it just kind of doesn't know what to do with it, and then it just it loses all sense of the message. So in the past, we've seen man do this. They saw the need to filter the downloads because they felt that people wouldn't understand the things that people were talking about, due to maybe the current situations going on at the time, or whatever the socioeconomic ideologies were. But this actually became somewhat of a problem as man started to evolve. I mean, we really start to see now how filtering some of the ideologies of source really has been detrimental to the collective. And two of the main things I really see, especially when it comes to the filtering, literally is that there are these limited beliefs, and that we feel like we're separated from everyone or humanity or the universe as a whole. So, for instance, with the limited beliefs, we're sometimes we put these limits on God, creator, source, and we're giving him she these limits that literally should have no limits. I mean, so when you find yourself in a place where all of a sudden you have limits, all of a sudden you're saying to yourself, well, that can't happen, or God can't make this happen, or source won't allow this to happen, or just generally you just don't feel like that is going to be something that's possible. I challenge everyone at that point to go higher in your way of thinking. If there is that thought in your mind, or if there is that message coming to you and it just doesn't sit right, because honestly, you guys, when I hear certain messages and it doesn't sit right for me for one way or another, that's when I start going deeper. Not only questioning the actual storyline or the message being given to me, but I'm questioning whether or not that's something light or source would even acknowledge or even consider to be true. Because this is the way I look at things, people. I'm a human. I'm very limited to a lot of things. But if I have the capacity to think something, that someone could be forgiven, or that certain situations can be resolved, if I have that capacity in my mind, what more so could you possibly imagine that our higher source has the capacity to do, the people that actually created the mind that thinks this, right? I mean, that's always been one of my biggest challenges to most people, especially when they put these limiting beliefs on me as well. I understand it's sometimes some things do need time. I mean, obviously things can't happen right away, but I never want to put those beliefs on, especially my own belief system. It's really important that I maintain that sense of all things are possible, and that I maintain that sense of, there is no limits, because there shouldn't be. I mean, if you really want to you delve in deeper into it, I suggest everyone does. Like, maybe they just have a conversation with their source and, see whether or not this is a statement that's coming from my human side or from the spirit. I mean, because, I think a lot of times we just automatically accept the feedback that's coming down here. We're automatically just saying, oh, okay, this is the message I'm hearing from you guys up there. But we're not necessarily we're not like taking out the filter at the end of the day and going, okay, well, what part of it was me and what part of it was my human element? And that's one of the things I'm really encouraging everyone to really think about right now, especially when you're thinking about all of this, because that's been kind of like one of the main things that's really been stirring up a little bit of like an easy feel with me, especially when I've been trying to absorb some of this information. And another thing I'm definitely seeing sometimes, or just maybe in little glimpses here and there, is really the separation from source and each other. I mean, no, it doesn't matter what we believe, you guys. I mean, I know there's so many beliefs out there, and like I said, I don't necessarily push any particular belief on you. I want you to be able to find what works for you, that's close to your heart. But in all beliefs, we all have the same feeling that there is just one being, and that we're all part of this light, source, creator, God. I mean, in so many beliefs, we either believe we embody the spirit or source or light to some degree, that we actually have it in us. And if you truly believe that in any way, what does that really say about not only your creator, but about you as being a co-creator in this world? I mean, you're either able to create these negative or positive experiences in your multidimensional reality. And also, we're not really separate from that, you guys. I mean, if we all carry the same flame, the same light, the same source in us, and that source considers itself just one being anyway, and we're all carrying that, what does that necessarily say about what and who we are to each other. I mean, how we're all connected to some degree. I mean, if the flame just touches another flame, and then all these different flames come together and create this fire. Are we really separate from that fire, or are we just all really an embodiment of that? Maybe in our own separate beings in some way, but in a way we're also just all part of that one single unified source. I really want that to sit in for a moment, because it's so funny, I always wonder what man's attraction is to light and candles and just, just all of that fire. What is our attraction to it? And I think sometimes, so often we relate to the light and source being in us, and then yet we're connected to each other. And I think that's so important for us to really embody and feel, you guys, right now. I mean, and the truth of the matter is, reality, it should not just benefit us. I mean, when I first started law of attraction, I really did it for a lot of selfish reasons. I really just like, oh, I want this and this in life, and and I did follow that for some degree. It did work. I mean, if you guys really want to know how it does work, yes. But innately deep down inside, I think most human beings, when they really think about it, they don't necessarily always want it to be all about them. In the end, what you want in life, you start realizing you're just part of this whole, and that it shouldn't all be about just you right now. I mean, our reality that we should create should not only just benefit you, but in a way, if you are truly in alignment with yourself and source, when you're truly in that place, and you do live that way, unfortunately, it just so happens that you want it to benefit others. I mean, once I started really getting in line with myself, that's when I wanted to do my platform. And it wasn't even about me or, making money anymore. It was more about like, wow, what can I get to you guys? Because what my experience is really cool. And I really want the rest of the world to experience that too, So, once you start realizing that we are one and from one source, you start realizing things like, God, when you hurt someone else, when you criticize someone else, when you put someone else down, when you put down their dreams, when you do anything that's negative to someone else, you in essence are really just hurting yourself. It was so hard for me to really describe this without having the platform to do it, or at least having the wording and the analogies to give you guys. It took some time, so I'm kind of really happy that now it's becoming more clear to me, and I can kind of share this with you a little bit better. But and I realized, you guys, with all this, that's probably the hardest thing, because I'll be honest, there are just people in this world we just don't like. And I know everyone wants to think, oh, I love everyone. No, you guys, the truth is, there are some people that are just hurtful and so mean and so rude and literally just bad people, and maybe they don't understand you, and it just makes it so difficult to just look around and say, yeah, this person is a part of me. But the more you start to use those mirroring analogies that I started going over with you guys in some of my previous vlogs, the more deeper you really look into them and you guys, you really start seeing some things in them and you that just starts to relate. You can start actually seeing humanity in them, even some of the most horrible people in the world. I mean, those are just things you have to sometimes contemplate in life. And sometimes, if you find yourself in existence or a reality that's just absolutely not in alignment with you, who you are and what you want, I mean, you're just like, this is not me, the greatest thing, especially now, since we're all, doing our stay-at-home thing, you guys, and people are kind of wondering, because I had these moments too where I was like, God, what am I doing with myself? Literally, what am I doing? The greatest thing right now is you can make that change from your home. You can make that change from right here where I'm sitting. You can just be here, close to your source, close to your the things that you want in life and what you are. And you can just kind of, have that connection with yourself. And I think that's such an amazing place to be. And I think, this is kind of one of those, you have the opportunity to do that now. I definitely suggest it to you guys. I mean, it's not easy, okay? There are times when I have this turmoil with myself. I mean, I think yesterday I saw something, and I saw something I really didn't like in it. And I literally just had some turmoil with it. I'm like, why am I seeing this? I always ask that question. Why am I seeing this? And what am I going to take this with me? And then, Source just kind of told me, hey, take from it what meant something to you that you can go with. But, create something to make that thing that you saw ugly beautiful. And I mean, I love being able to share that. I mean, I know a lot of times, we always think, well, people can't change. Situations can't change. And maybe that person doesn't even change because they never saw themselves changing, because no one ever thought enough of them to think that they would ever change. I mean, this is a challenge to you guys today. I mean, I'm not suggesting you go out and start doing things and putting yourself out there in situations unless you're 100% sure that it's gonna, be okay for you. But don't put yourself in like harm's way, or like a situation where you could might have any backlash or abuse or anything like that. I always suggest you guys always your inner child will know when you feel safe or when something's right for you, and there's always going to be a time for that, trust me. But trust your judgment. We're all, you're gonna know. In fact, the more you go into alignment, it won't even be like you're gonna even have to face a situation that's going to be scary for you. In fact, the situation won't even be that situation, that it won't even be available to you. You'll be able to face a situation in in the perfect circumstances where everything's just right, and that's when you know when to go forward. That's when because there's not going to be those fears. And that's why don't jump the gun. Don't go in there and thinking, oh, I'm Source, be with me, or situation. Don't jump the gun. Just ask Source. Just ask God for the situation to be right, and tell you when to move, because that's really what it is, you guys. When I talk about you changing your circumstances, so that every time you move up into alignment or put yourself in that place where you're in the zone, you're also making these decisions in your life that go towards what you really want in life. There are millions and billions of timelines, and sometimes you can see those timelines, and I don't disregard them. If you see one and you're just focusing on the timeline where nothing's going to go right for you, you need to really try to focus on the other potential timelines you guys could potentially be in, and pick that one. And you just have to kind of with Source and everything, your resources around you, navigate your life towards that timeline that you want. And it's very clear. You can see it. You see what you need to do to get there. And if you don't, that's why I say meditate or go into prayer or do what you need to do to find that. I mean, when I share this with you guys, I can tell you this week, I had my moments of just uncertainty, and then fear again, and then uncertainty and fear, and then seriously, I mean, it was kind of like a yo-yo for me. And the more I paid attention to what was going on in the media, I really want to help people. I really want to make people see things that they can't possibly fathom. In fact, in a lot of ways, I was creating it, because every time I saw somebody say something negative, I would be like, well, I want to see something else. I want to see something positive in this. And I would literally find it. I mean, then I would post it, and then the negative again, or there's just a negative scenario. It was just kind of like this yo-yo thing. And I decided, believe it or not, you can just get off that yo-yo, you guys. It doesn't have to be a part of your life. A lot of things in this world that we think are part of our lives that we just don't want, they don't have to be. And maybe that's just my message for you today, is just, don't limit yourselves. Don't limit your creator, and don't limit, yourself as co-creators, you know, that you know, anything is possible. And if there's a certain belief in your life that you just don't want to have to accept, hey, you guys, you embody the light. You can create that new reality. And you can add to it and take from it and take away from it. And that is my message for you guys today. Thank you so much for following me. I will definitely try to build my my YouTube and Facebook. So you know, please like and subscribe. And definitely, I hope that some of the messages come out here are helpful to you and just give you a different side of things. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a great one. Bye bye.